For example, the city later named Jerusalem was named Jebus at the time the Israelites came in. The Bible records that the Jebusites were neither killed nor driven out, but continued to live among the people of the tribes of Judah and Benjamin. See Joshua 15, verse 63, Judges 1, verse 21, and 19, verses 10 to 12, 1 Chronicles 11, verses 4 to 9, and 2 Chronicles 8, verses 7 and 8. Even after the people of the southern kingdom of Judah returned from the 70 years' captivity in Babylon, the Jebusites were still in the land, and some of the people were intermarrying among them. See Ezra 9, verses 1 and 2, and Nehemiah 13, verses 23 to 29. And the Bible records the same thing as to the various other Canaanite peoples. Further proof of this is found in various places, such as Ezekiel 16, verses 1 to 3. Again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations, and say, Thus saith the Lord God unto Jerusalem, Thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother was a Hittite. Now God could not have said this truthfully as to any real Israelite, but he was not saying it to Israelites. He said it to the city of Jerusalem and her people. These were in large part Canaanite Jews, and they had gained power in the manner by which Jews always gain it. Hence Jerusalem was becoming more and more corrupt, as most of the prophets record. They surrounded and became the influential advisors of the kings of Judah. Just as today they surround and make up almost all of the influential advisors of our president. We find clear proof of this in Isaiah 3, verses 8 and 9, where he says, For Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord, to provoke the eyes of his glory. The show of their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Now in China, where their rulers were Chinese, you couldn't say that the show of their countenance doth witness against them, for their faces would be just like those of the rest of the Chinese. And in Sweden, where their ruling class were Swedes, you couldn't say that their faces were a witness against them, for they'd be the same kind of Swedish faces as the rest of the people had. But in Jerusalem, the faces of the Canaanite, Jebusite Jews identified them and were a witness against them. The real Israelites were not hook-nosed. The ancient kings of Egypt, Assyria, and Babylon were very vain about their military conquests, and they left carved stone monuments telling how they had captured this city and that one, killed so many people and enslaved the others, and so forth. And on these monuments, they usually also had carved in the stone pictures of the captive people. Whenever they showed Israelites, the faces had straight noses and were generally of the Anglo-Saxon type. But when they showed Canaanites, the faces were those of typical hook-nosed Jews. Therefore, the faces of the Canaanite, Jebusite Jews who had gained controlling power as merchants, bankers, advisors of the king, the wealthy ruling class, identified them as separate from the real Israelites. The show of their countenance doth witness against them. And they had indeed ruined the kingdom of Judah. Now go back and read the many places where Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel condemn the wickedness which was found in Jerusalem. Don't you find the same conditions existing today in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Washington, D.C., where large numbers of the same people have gained power through their wealth? So we find that there were still large numbers of Canaanites in the land, integrated with the real Israelites and Judahites, and bringing the lowering of standards which integration always brings. Look at the city of Washington, D.C., for example. Besides the Jebusites in Jerusalem, the Bible records that the other Canaanite peoples, the Hittites, the Hivites, the Perizzites, and the Amorites, were not exterminated nor driven out, but merely conquered and made to pay a tribute tax and left in the land to be integrated with the people and corrupt them. So these Canaanites were another element of the Jews in the time of Jesus Christ. You will remember that when the people of Israel left Egypt, they were accompanied by a mixed or mongrel multitude. The same is true of the return of the remnant of the people of the kingdom of Judah from their captivity in Babylon. The books of Ezra and Nehemiah record the return. They show that the total number who returned was 42,360. But they also show that among these were many who were not Israelites of any tribe. They were Babylonians who had come with them in order to get in on the ground floor, as the saying is. And they had even infiltrated into the priesthood. But it says that these sought their register among those who were reckoned by genealogy, but they were not found. When you add up the total of all these other elements listed in Ezra and Nehemiah, they equal 8,381 of these alien Babylonians, or about 1/5 of all the people who returned from Babylon to Palestine. So they also formed another element of the Jews of the land in Jesus Christ's time. Now one more, and we complete the list, and that is the Edomites. You will remember that Esau and Jacob were twin brothers. But Esau was a man of such low character that we have God's own testimony in Malachi 1, verses 2 and 3. Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau. Jacob kept the race line pure, and God changed his name to Israel and made him the father of God's own chosen people, Israel. But Esau married 2 Canaanite wives and 1 Ishmaelite wife, and left only half-breed mongrel children. See Genesis 26, verses 34 and 35, Genesis 27, verse 46, and Genesis 36, verse 3. As his mongrel descendants couldn't marry into the true Semitic line, he moved out from among them and went down to Mount Seir, the rugged range of mountains southeast of the Dead Sea. And this land was called Edom, or occasionally by the Grecianized form of the word, Idumea. Thereafter his descendants were called Edomites. See Genesis 33, verse 16, and Genesis 36, verses 1 to 9. There they had a long and troublesome history. Esau's grandson was Amalek, father of the tribe of Amalek, who were such an evil lot that in Exodus 17, verses 14 to 18, God said that he would have perpetual war with Amalek until they were all destroyed. The Edomites constantly harassed the southern portions of Israel until King Saul beat them off about 1087 B.C. But Saul disobeyed God's command to exterminate them, and for this disobedience God deposed him as king in favor of David. See 1 Samuel 15, verses 1 to 26. But even David didn't exterminate them, and there was a long history of wars between Edom and Israel, later between Edom and Judah. You will find it set out in 2 Kings, chapters 8 and 14, and in 2 Chronicles, chapters 20 and 25. The whole book of Obadiah is devoted to God's condemnation of Edom's treacherous attack upon the kingdom of Judah when Judah was being conquered by Babylon. During the Babylonian captivity of Judah, the land lay nearly empty. And during this period, the people of Edom, partly from opportunity and partly from pressure against them from the east, moved over into the vacant southern half of the old kingdom of Judah. See Funk and Wagner's New Standard Bible Dictionary, pages 198 and 199, and Scribner's Dictionary of the Bible, volume 2, pages 644 and 645. From this new area, they continued to harass the little nation which returned from Babylon. By about the year 142 B.C., the returned exiles of Judah won complete independence under the Maccabean line of kings. And about 120 B.C., John Hyrcanus, one of the Maccabee kings, conquered the Edomites. But he too, instead of exterminating them, took them into his kingdom, offering them full citizenship if they would give up their paganism and adopt the religion of Judaism. This they did, and from 120 B.C. they were full citizens of the kingdom. See Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews, Book 13, Chapter 9, and see also the Jewish Encyclopedia, Volume 5, page 41. By the year 69 B.C., incompetent leadership and rising intrigue within the Maccabean monarchy, together with the rising power of Rome in Western Asia, gave opportunity to Antipater, also called Antipas, an Edomite chieftain and founder of the Herodian family, to rise to power. By bribery, boldness, and military skill, he gained the favor of Rome, and the Romans made him procurator or governor of Judea. His son, Herod I, beginning as governor of Galilee, used the same methods to secure appointment as king of Judea in 40 B.C., and by 37 B.C. he had gained complete control of Judea. He maintained himself in power by extreme ruthlessness and by bribery, for which he taxed the people very heavily. So the New Deal, Raw Deal, and New Horizons are not so new after all. This is the same Herod who had all the little male children in Bethlehem murdered, trying to murder Jesus Christ in his infancy. His son, Herod Archelaus, held the governorship. The Romans wouldn't trust him with the crown, for 10 years of astonishingly evil misrule, from 4 B.C. to 6 A.D., after which the Romans convicted him of crimes and removed him. And thereafter Judea was governed by Roman procurators, of whom Pontius Pilate was number 6. Nevertheless, the Romans left practically complete power of local government in the hands of the Herodian Edomites, who had complete control of the temple and power to enforce all their local laws. Remember how Pontius Pilate tried to get out of condemning Jesus Christ, telling the Jews, "Take ye him and judge him according to your law." That's John 18, verse 31. These Edomite Jews could say that Abraham was an ancestor of theirs through Esau, as they did in John 8:33. But this Hebrew blood through Esau had been diluted to the vanishing point by 1,700 years of marrying only people of Canaanite racial stocks. Therefore, Jesus Christ rebuked them for falsely claiming to be still of Abrahamic, and therefore inferentially of Israelite lineage. For he told them in John 8, verse 44, "Ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him." You should very carefully reread the 8th chapter of John, verses 31 to 47. These were Jews to whom Jesus was speaking, and the Bible identifies them as Jews. In the Jewish Encyclopedia, the article on Edom concludes with the words, "The Edomites today are found in modern Jewry." Now let us review for a moment what we have covered. We have seen that Jesus Christ was not a Jew by religion, for the Jews based their religion on the Babylonian Talmud, which was at that time called the tradition of the elders. And Jesus Christ's whole ministry was one constant battle against the evils of Judaism. We have seen that Jesus Christ was a true Israelite of the tribe of Judah by race. And we have seen that the Jews of his time included the mongrel descendants of Shelah, the mongrel mixed multitude which followed the Israelites out of Egypt, the various Canaanite peoples in Palestine, including the Jebusites, the Hittites, the Hivites, the Perizzites, and the Amorites, and finally the mongrelized descendants of Esau, the Edomites. Now do you understand why Jesus Christ, who said that he was only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, told the Jews, "I know my sheep, and they know me. But ye, the Jews, ye believe not, because ye are not of my sheep, as I said unto you. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." That's in the 10th chapter of John. The tiny remnant of Judah and Benjamin which came back to Palestine from the Babylonian captivity did leave some descendants in Palestine. But these were Jesus Christ's sheep, and he himself said that he knew them, they knew him, and they followed him. All those in Palestine who became Christians were true members of the tribe of Judah or of the tribe of Benjamin, but they were not Jews. And the Jews were not members of Judah, Benjamin, or any other Israelite tribe, for Jesus Christ himself said they are not of his sheep. Now we know who it was who constituted the Jews in Jesus Christ's time. If you want to bring it down to date and find